Awesome.
Well, Robin, great to sit down and actually be able to talk to you and not be interviewed initially on this. So this is kind of exciting for us.
Turnabout's fair play. I owe you. You've been the volunteer the last 3 years now. So
four actually.
Oh.
Four. So since we've done that, I want to say first and foremost, thank you for giving us the inspiration to start that Brands We Know. I remember I was driving through Arizona when we talked on doing this Brands We Know page, because so many people didn't understand.
Closer to the mic.
So many people didn't understand the behind the scenes of what goes on for these brands, and didn't understand, the end user just didn't acknowledge a lot of that. And so talking with you with your experience in the industry has been tremendous. But now that we're sitting here with you, tell us about you and tell us about your journey within this industry and what people need to know about dealer news. I found a lot of end users aren't even familiar with dealer news.
Well, I think I'm getting old because a lot of the people don't know that there was a show before AIMExpo. But for them, this is the be all end all, and it's 10, 12 years of AIMExpo, and it's like, well, there was 50 years of the Dealer Expo before that. So subliminal messaging, us being the official media partner and having printed issues.
Absolutely.
The old guard thinks it's the Dealer News show. So before the show rolls into town, everybody says, hey, you got to get me passes. You got to get me in. It's the Dealer News show. It's like, no, Dealer News is dead and gone. I have no juice with AIME. But I am on the MIC board of directors. The MIC owns AIMExpo as of 8 years ago. So now I guess I am still sort of connected to the show.
So the MIC, I know you've been a really active role with that, and we know that, but can you let our people know what is the MIC and what do they do?
Motorcycle Industry Council is here to promote and protect and advocate for our sport. Primarily, it was funded by the Japanese Big Four back in the day. They got together as an industry association, and then over time, they added an aftermarket council. And at one point in time, the aftermarket committee was every bit as strong as the executive board was. And the aftermarket committee actually vetted the spend. It's a nonprofit organization. It's all to benefit our industry as a whole. And we had that oversight. So it was really well balanced. And it stayed out of shows. And then they had a change of heart, and there was no more Dealer Expo. And so the landscape needed a show.
Absolutely.
And so they, again, for the good of the industry, it's not like it was going to make us money or anything.
Mm-hmm.
It ended up costing the MIC quite a bit of money to purchase it and to run it those early years and all of that. So it's a labor of love, but it's also its passion and its integrity, and it brings the OEMs and the aftermarket together to better service our dealers.
Now, I know it really encompasses a sport. It's not limited to on our street, dirt bike. It's not limited to anything. It's everything power sports related.
The way the MIC Motorcycle Industry Council is structured, it gets a little bit confusing because originally this was the motorcycle industry. Then we became power sports and all that. So there are actually 5 if you count AIME as a standalone umbrella under MIC, but ROVA, which is the side-by-side industry, it's Recreational Off-Highway Vehicle Association. They're the same as MIC. They've got their own board of directors and all of that. We lump it together, but they have separate staff, separate things, but shared office, a shared director with Christy being our CEO and president of MIC. She's also serves a similar role for ROVA. SVIA, the Specialty Vehicle Institute of America, was the ATV component, and that was actually the first one. And then the Motorcycle Safety Foundation is also under that MIC umbrella, but they're totally autonomous as well. So all of these things happen. We share resources. Our government relations team services all the associations, does a great job. And then AIME is a show group, same thing, services all of the associations equally.
So, I mean, it's definitely far reaching as far as all of that goes. And what all, as far as government services, and what are you advocating for as far as what end users and our end user customers need to know?
MIC has always been behind the scenes, and we're our own worst enemy at communicating the things that we do well. There wouldn't be an industry if it hadn't have been for our government relations team, for example. Going into COVID, it's MIC's legal team got us declared an essential industry. That kept power sports alive when other industries crashed and burned or went on hiatus for 2 years. We, because of social distancing and whatever other COVID things were, we kept the doors open, we kept the units going, and we were the ultimate social distancing machine. So it worked out great.
I don't think a lot of people really truly realize just how integral that was, because we saw such a massive spike within the power sport industry. My perspective and my background scared the crap out of me, because we're this new company that we just launched, and 2 weeks later they declared a pandemic, and we didn't know what to expect. We didn't know everything that was going on behind the scenes, and it really turned out that was kind of the ultimate form of social distancing. And we saw the sales spike and everything else. And I don't think many people really truly understood the impact that had on the industry.
Again, Scott Schlegel and his team did great work, but he's one of those guys, like Jack Welch from GE used to say, could see around corners. Scott already knows what's going to happen on Capitol Hill, and he's already got a game plan in mind, and then he comes and presents that to the board, and it's like, well, Scott, if you say that's what we're doing, then we're doing it.
Absolutely.
Let's make it happen. He also now orchestrates the DC fly-in, where we bring in key people from within the power sports industry to meet with Congress. So you want to meet with your congressman, we fly you into Capitol Hill. We have a meeting in Washington, D.C. with your congressman to address these issues. And then Joni Ernst is not running again, but she was one of the co-chairs of the motorcycle caucus. It's like, meet with Joni. I needed a quote on something, and I called Scott and I said, can you get me in touch with Joni Ernst's office? He says, well, I ride with her. Joni Ernst, the senator from Iowa, campaigns on her motorcycle. She rides there's 99 districts. She rides to all 99 districts in Iowa and personally stumps on the back of a bike. So Scott's ridden with her. He says, hang on. 2 seconds later, I'm talking to her chief of staff, and he says, do you need, an hour of her time? Do you need whatever? And it's like, so it's the old thing. It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Absolutely.
MIC is very fortunate to have people like Scott representing all of our interests.
I think it's just amazing to me, because so many people, they just take their motorcycle, or they take their four-wheeler or their UTV, and they just go out and they ride without really knowing everything that goes on behind the scenes and how much effort's put into it, from every single aspect of it to the freedoms that we enjoy with that.
We sort of like it that way, because we do have we're nonprofit, but we also answer to higher authorities. So the governance of it and all that is purely on the up and up. We don't need to go promote the MIC message outside of our industry. But here, AIME is a trade-only show.
Absolutely.
So yeah, MIC does have a bigger presence than it normally would, and we own the show. So it's in our best interest to make sure that all of our exhibitors and attendees are happy and well represented. So symbiotic relationship.
It is 100%. And I think this industry as a whole is really the embodiment of just how much relationships matter. And no matter what you do. But I love this industry. We've been in it for so long. I've been in it for 25 years. And Robin, how long have you been in this industry?
My top 100 program is older than that. So, yeah. There's people that say I've been in it too long.
Well, one of the things that I definitely have to say is when we first launched the brand, and we were able to do an interview with you, and that meant so much to us. And that goes back to relationships as well. And so from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say thank you for believing in us and giving us a chance as well as we've continued to grow.
Well, it's my pleasure. I don't think that I'm going to have too much of a lasting legacy, but what I do have is the best seat in the house. I get to see brands start, and then I get to see them come to fruition and really thrive and flourish. And I still get excited about stuff like that after all this time. I did have another career. I had a real job at one point in time before I did Dealer News. But this is the best job by far that I've ever had, including when I was the editor of the beer magazine. So
Beer is good though.
Beer is good. Motorcycles are better, and it's not it's not the hardware; it's the people in this industry.
It is.
And I've worked in other industries. I've had real jobs, but you couldn't pay me enough to do what I do for free here. I mean, this is so cool.
Yeah, it's. I mean, these are childhood dreams here that have come up, and I mean, it's just amazing. One of the things that the stories I use is, I don't care who you are. Everybody remembers the very first throttle twist of that bike because the moment is that magical.
I remember everything about it, the smell in the air and just everything.
Yeah.
And everybody like you that I talk to has that same visceral experience. And it's only 10% of the population or less that it resonates with like that. So when I first started, there was a guy who was a school teacher, became a motorcycle dealer to fund his habit. Him and his brother were woods riders. And so they like, well, instead of getting a discount, why don't we just get our own dealership and we could give ourselves bikes?
Right.
Biggest mistake ever, because then they spent the next 30 years toiling away in the business, and the last thing they got to do was go race. But they did it for the right reason. But given his background, he said, he was a biology teacher, and he said, there's not going to be something that appeals to everybody, but there's something universally appealing about it to a small percentage of humans. You're hardwired that way. Absolutely. And so it didn't matter if it was a gas-powered motorcycle or a hovercraft in the future powered by hydrogen. He said that that adventure, thrill-seeking person who's a power sports person, that exists. It's nature protecting itself, so the biodiversity of it, unfortunately for us, it's 10% or less of the total people even have that gene.
There's going to be some loud noise over there.
Oh, awesome.
just to show you, strike up the band.
Really can't win for trying. So we told that story off air, but last year I thought, okay, I'm the MIC guy and I'm the dealer news guy, and I'm going to get my booth and get my interviews done. It's going to be perfect. And they said, oh yeah, we're giving you a back wall so there won't be any people walking through your shots or anything. But they put me right next to the new product stage. And the first guy up has an alarm system, and it's 120 decibels, and it just goes. And his whole presentation, every time I would try and make a point, he'd hit that stupid alarm. And it's like, man, I can't win. So this year, it's like, okay, we're good. And then what happens? The band stays directly behind us.
Go figure. Well, I appreciate everything you've done. I appreciate, what Dealer News has done, what the MIC has done, and most importantly, I appreciate my relationship with you as well. And I can't thank you enough for that. And it's been an amazing resource, an amazing friendship.
Well, you're special, but
you're not the first person to tell me. My mom always called me that.
To me, everybody in this industry is special. The fact that we keep coming back, and there are easier ways to make money. There are much more rewarding things for some people in the world, but for special people, this is the place to be.
This is, and it's like a big gathering, almost a homecoming, if you will, with so many friends and relationships and I mean, people you've known for decades or people that you just met. I had the pleasure of having a beer with someone yesterday, knew his company, but never got the chance to know him. And I think a lot of people don't understand that everybody's really a real person. And you can talk to them just like you would a friend or anybody else. And the experience itself, like you said, is very, very visceral because so many people are so genuine within the industry.
Well, I think that this has separated humanity from itself. And we have common ties in our interest for power sports and all of that. But we also have that price of entry. There's not an app to go ride.
No.
You can get directions. You can optimize a ride, but AI doesn't ride a motorcycle.
No.
You ride a motorcycle. You get to go out in a UTV and have a great adventure and all of that. And that's, again, that 10% or so of the population that's hardwired that way. You have to have that. That is built into your gene pool. You have to be able to go out and recreate and enjoy what power sports provides you.
Oh, absolutely. And that freedom that so many people really don't get the chance to experience because they're welded to their phone.
Yeah. And I mean, the people who developed that were really smart, and they figured out where the learning centers were and the dopamine hits and all of that things. We are puppets.
Oh, 100%.
To that device. And this is a way to break free of that and get back to what we should be doing.
Yeah. Nope, I agree. Well, do we want to keep going live? Or?
Sure. Or we can do another setup here.
Let me turn my stuff off.
Okay. Yeah.
And then. Thank you, sir. That was just fun just to spitball.
It's easier. Yeah. So welcome back to the Ignition XD studio, Dealer News Live on the floor of AIMExpo. Josh, another show, another year.
It is most definitely another show, another year. I'm very excited to be here in Anaheim and to kind of see it in Anaheim, because usually when I'm out here, it's for Sand Sports Show or dealer visit or anything else. So to have AIMExpo out here is a wonderful experience.
And who are you and what do you do other than being the Dirtbag?
I'm definitely the Dirtbag. I'm the head Dirtbag. I'm Josh Salazar with Dirtbag Brands. We do UTV accessories, two-wheel off-road accessories. We've been around for just over 5.5 years. We're almost going to finish year 6 now and start year 7, actually.
So it's 6 and soon to be 7-year overnight success.
Yeah, most definitely 6 and 7 over year overnight success. The irony of that is what's been normal over the last 5.5 years in this industry.
Well, we talked about it off air. You've been very lucky to, and also cursed to be launching your company right in the heart of COVID. So what was normal isn't normal, and what was COVID normal isn't normal anymore. So the new norm is changed on you basically every 2 years.
Oh yeah, beyond the shadow of a doubt. But in a way, it's also been our biggest asset too, because what we've brought to the table is, especially on the 4-wheel segment side of things, is we bring solutions. So, you've got multiple different roll bar fitments, multiple machine configurations, stuff like that. So probably the single biggest asset that we have is, do you have a round roll bar or a not round roll bar for our accessory system? And I don't think we could have made it any simpler than that.
Well, wouldn't it get it right if they're charging you $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 for a side-by-side? Well, why do we need an aftermarket?
It's amazing to me, because when you start at $45,000 for the highest end stuff, and yet a lot of it is still going to be subpar, you've got these amazing machines, and aftermarket is what pushes the limits further and further. No matter where you go, be it in Glamis or the desert trails in Baja or the mud in Louisiana, you're always going to see that aftermarket. And us as Americans, we love to push the limit.
True enough. But that's the running joke. We are the aftermarket, and yet you're one of the leaders of the aftermarket. So it's an oxymoron. You're on top of the trends. It's cutting edge stuff. You're finding solutions to the problems that exist there, and you're actually leading the market with an aftermarket product.
We really do. We're blessed in the fact that we've got a designer who the guy's an award-winning designer, and is probably the best way that I can put it. And he came from Arlen Ness and the custom chopper days and the accessories for that, and he only does UTV products for us. And so to a lot of people out there that really wouldn't nerd, or that don't nerd out about that, they just want the product and stuff, the story behind it, and everything has a story, but the story behind it, and having an award-winning designer from those days, from the V-twin market. I mean, he was building Harleys with his brothers 40 years ago growing up. It's a really big asset, and it's given us an advantage that a lot of people just don't understand. I mean, 40 years with factories around the world is huge, let alone designing, engineering, and mechanics. And you know how well engineering and mechanics get along. So, no, it's been really good for the accessory side, but it allowed us to offer solutions for dealers as well. Instead of having a whole plethora of SKUs in a 6x8 foot section of something, hey, you can have a 2x2 section of something, be able to fit everything. Is it round? Is it not? For mirrors, for everything else like that. I mean, we've done just some absolute cutting edge designs. It's been truly tremendous and a blessing for us.
But you understand that. You understand the need for the product and how it's going to fit in, but also how it fits on a dealer's shelf and that. So go back to your personal background, your days in the field. I mean, well, you're still in the field, but you actually learned this the hard way. On some of my profiles, power sports was a choice, but being an executive was kind of an accident.
So I started in the wheel and tire industry of the 4-wheel section, ATV, UTV, before even the Razor even came out in 2008. And so I had a chance to see it grow. And I worked with just a ton of brands within the industry, working for a distributor, working for everything else like that. And I always used to tell my dealerships and the parts guys, the part line, they're going to hear the complaints. They're going to hear the question first. And then it goes to the parts manager, and then it goes to the rep, and then it goes to the rep's boss, and then it goes to the brands, and so on and so forth. And I think in this day and age, I mean, you hit the nail on the head with cell phones. We've got so much information and a powerful computer right at our fingertips, and people just don't quite understand it. An antisocial aspect to it, where you're hiding behind the screen, whereas going to the dealerships, talking with them, always making sure you stay on the ground, keep your finger on the pulse. What's going on in the industry and the how, instead of just, well, I saw it on Facebook. I read it on Facebook. It must be true. It's on the internet. It must be true.
It's got to be.
So being in the field and for being a rep for over 2 decades before we launched Dirtbag Brands, I think was integral to maintain and keep the finger on the pulse. I initially started with, I didn't want my face involved. Let's make it about the product, because you see all these influencers and it's me. And then it's on to the next one. And then it's on to the next one. And instead I wanted to make it about the product. But then I realized, you know what? So many people want to meet the owner behind it. I had one guy go off on me on a design, this, that, and the other. He had no clue who I was on a mirror. And I said, and he was a tech. And I walked back there, and so I asked him, I said, well, what would you do to change this? He said, well, I do this, I do that. And I said, what if I showed you that there was an easier way to do it that would completely cut down your frustration? And he goes, really? And I said, what if I told you it was video on it? And so I showed him the video, and he goes, oh, geez, that makes sense, right? Because you can only do so much, and everybody's going to have different frustrations. I mean, that's why they have frustration-free packaging, and I've still managed to get mad about it. But I sat and I showed him there was a method which cut all of his objections out. And then he goes, well, how long have you repped for the company? And I said, well, since the company started. And he said, wait a minute, are you the owner? I go, yeah. And he goes, so I just sat here and F'd you to your face and you didn't get mad and you're twice my size. And I said, that's why I'm in the field, is because I want to hear the genuine opinion. I want to know, and I want to explain the reasoning why. And if I can show you a better way, or if you can show me a better way, this is all about learning. How do we get better? How can we make it easier for you?
And that illustrates why you were an early adapter of what PRA, the Professional Rep Association, is all about, because you've been on both sides of that. You see it, you live it, and now there's an association that's coming together to spread the wealth.
So I really love what the Power Sports Rep Association has been doing. And the reason why is, I remember when I first started, it was if we needed to hire someone in another state for a company, and hey, check with your parts guys and check, like they wanted the guys that had the experience to have that front line. And a lot of that is just kind of, it's not personable as it was for hiring anymore. And so with the advent of the Power Sports Rep Association, it's, hey, let's create this funnel for these guys to get the experience, to be able to move on, to explore different areas, whether they want to go to work for an OEM or whether they want to work for an aftermarket. But the fact that we get to work in this industry, and you can choose to go 2 miles an hour and you can choose to go 200 miles an hour. It's all about how fast you want to go and how much you want it. And the Power Sports Rep Association, I think, is an integral part of it. How do we expand and how do we create a funnel for people, for the next generation, for the industry?
You're a prime example of that. We have the passion for this product, but there's not necessarily a career path until somebody like PRA, or now with the National Power Sport Dealer Association on the dealer side of things, your drive, the 200 miles an hour, that comes at the expense of everything else to get there.
100%.
Speed cost. How fast can you afford to go? Well, if that's your chosen lifestyle and your career profession, it's going to cost you everything before it starts making you a living.
Absolutely. And I think really one of the biggest things for the PRA is they're looking to team up with Dealer Academy and be able to create an education experience for the people that work in the shops or reps, while creating the jobs along the way. So it's really kind of hitting all the facets to bring in that next generation.
So we do have a career path. We have professional, and that's built into the name intentionally. It was not just an association or a gathering, and it's not for profit. It's professional. That brings a certain level of expectation with it.
Absolutely. And the beautiful part about the PRA is AI is a tool in this day and age now. And so many people are like, oh, AI is going to take our jobs. It's going to do this. It's going to do, which it will in some. But with the PRA, what can AI take away? It can only enhance, but it definitely can't take away the career path. And so I think that's one of the really important things people need to understand as well, is people still need to touch product. People still need to install product. People still need to have machines fixed. People still need to have machines upgraded. And that PRA function, I mean, that's job security in one of its purest forms.
We talked about it earlier about there's just a percentage of the population is hardwired to be power sports enthusiast, but it's not going away. I mean, it's like, oh, we're not going to grow much, but we're never going to shrink beyond that, because those people are hardwired. They will find a way to go out and recreate and enjoy their passion. So
absolutely, and getting away from the desk and getting away from the office and everything else, that's what it's really all about. It's take that time and embrace that passion, and these aren't going to be as big of a deal when you're going 150, 200 miles an hour.
They are awesome, though. I get the Dakar highlights every day, and it's not as good as being there, but it's damn close.
I've been following on your Dakar highlights that you've been also posting out there too, and it really is. It's every aspect of it's incredible. It doesn't matter if it's on road, off road, 2 or 4 wheel, water, snow. Just this industry is just simply amazing.
It is, and again, I always say it. I've got the best seat in the house.
You do,
and Dealer News has been around 60 years. I've been with Dealer News 2 times now, for better part of 35 years. So, and I remember when Dealer News celebrated its 35th anniversary. We had a 35th logo created, and it was a big deal. And then we did our top 100. We had the first one, and then we had 25 years of top 100, and there was always a yearbook. So I want to get back to that. That's what that took away from paper magazines and things like that. But I think that eventually, once we realize that we have a core industry and a group of people, we can come back to that same old thing.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not a paper magazine every month, but I have a paper issue here at the show, and it keeps me going.
I remember when I was first got in the industry, and you're seeing so many of the paper publications now, Dealer News and so many other ones, and now it's that format into the e-format now, which you still read and you get on the Mondays or the Fridays and read the updates that way, and the publication hasn't changed, I guess is the best way to put it. I mean, there's still something about holding the paper copy, but it's always looking forward to, what's in the articles, what's there, what can we learn, what's new.
Well, I think in career paths, it's probably not a good idea to go into school and become a journalism major when AI is going to replace that segment. Already has in most things, or it's pay to click. It's not even journalism anymore. So that gets into a little bit of a dicey area, and that's where I'll be that get off my lawn, cranky old guy. Get off my AI porch. It's like I still want real things happening, real people doing real things together.
Yeah, it's most definitely, but that's part of the industry itself that we're in is AI. Once again, it's never going to fully replace the experience that we get to deal with and experience in this industry.
So moving forward, we're not going to be replaced. What's going to come from Dirtbags to enhance that experience in the field?
So I think for us, we're still going to continue working on simplifying dealers' lives with fitment choices and keeping the SKUs down. We're really looking forward to moving into the 2-wheel off-road market. We got some stuff in the works now. I'm excited about it. I don't want to go too much into it just because we're waiting to get through the first quarter of this year to see how the market's going to react after. I expected 2 years ago was a COVID hangover, and I was wrong because last year was definitely the COVID hangover. Will it carry over? Will it not? You've got so many different forces out there, be it global economic, socioeconomic, politically economic, it's everything. So we're going to kind of wait for first quarter. But when we bring it out, I think it's going to be, I think it's going to definitely hit dealers well because everything's evolving with distributors and brands, and some people are overextended, and some people that with the experience aren't. So I think for us, the 2-wheel stuff, and then we'll definitely add to the 4-wheel accessories for what we're going to be doing as well.
But you are ahead of the curve because you're American made. So
we are American designed and engineered.
Okay.
We do source overseas, and the common argument that I use for that is we can sell the same products for $500 or $600 if it was American made, or we can sell them for $250 to $300. And really, for consumers, do you want to pay the $250 to $300, or would you rather pay the $500 to $600 for made in America? And I don't think a lot of people understand we really don't have any steel foundries at all here in the U.S. anymore, and so that creates a problem unto itself. And yes, you have tariffs, and everybody has been changing things around, but we're definitely American designed and engineered. just not made in America per se.
But when they restart those foundries and all of that, then you can shift in.
We can definitely shift into
that's
that.
the thing that general populace doesn't understand. It's we can say, well, buy American. We would if we could.
Correct.
But we outsourced it 20 years ago. It's you can't fix that in 6 months.
No, and America itself has definitely become a consuming country. But in the same token, it's all still maintained a lot of innovation as well. So you kind of take the trade-off for that.
And we're still, I mean, globally, we're the UTV headquarters of the universe. Nobody uses them like we do in the United States. Nobody recreates with them nearly as much as we do.
No, not at all. And with the varied terrains, but even then you take that like Glamis when it started with the 3-wheelers or the 2-wheelers and then the 3-wheelers. And then of course you told me a story about when 3-wheelers overnight, the industry changed, and we hadn't seen changes like that since the 3-wheeler market until 2 years ago.
And we survived that. We went from 50% of total power sports new unit sales disappearing overnight because of the CPSC ban. And we came back, and we came back from COVID, and we'll come back from the tariff thing. At least that 10% of the population that's hardwired for that. We're not going away.
No,
we will find a way to fund this and keep doing it.
We'll still be funding and we'll still be recreating. So
job security.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Josh, thank you.
Hey, Robin, appreciate it. Take care.